Happy Thursday, beautiful people. Happy Thursday. It is October the 20th, 2022, day 241 of year 4 of reading through the books of the law and the prophets and of the 4-year consecutive day count, day 1,260. Remember, those are all the days we have been present without the Sabbath, right? The Sabbath count is not added into it. If we did for every year, it would be an extra 52 days, right? So add that up, 52 times 4. Add that into the 1260, and that's how long we've been doing this daily. Today, y'all, for the title, I put Book of Inspiration. The Book of Inspiration is after the Book of Discipline. Book of Discipline, we start today. I'm going to change the title when we get done. Forgive me. Moving too fast. But that starts on, if you have Big Blue or the OAHSPE and the Big Blue bound edition, it's on page 737. All right, y'all. Father, we thank you that you are intelligence without end. All right, y'all. Vinette, greetings. Keila, blessings, sis. Anita, greetings. Tabitha, up here. YouTube, the name for Tabitha is Keon Cooper. Remember, she is on her son account. Shalom, sis. Elijah, peace, brother. Miss Hannah, shalom. Blue skies, shalom, shalom. Dairy CM, shalom, fam. Kendrick, shalom, shalom. Ema, which is set apart. Top of the day, sis. All right, y'all. Let's get started here. Y'all, I'm excited about Sunday when the ladies get together. I just want to say that. Okay. All right. So, page 737. Book of Discipline. Book of Discipline. Chapter 1. Under chapter 1, the subtitle is God Revealeth Who He Is. Hold on. Okay. This is the word from the organic heaven. Hear the words of thy God, O man. I am thy brother, risen from mortality to a holy place in heaven. Profit thou in my wisdom and be admonished by my love. For I am as thy elder brother. So shall it be with thee, to rise also in time to come, and look back to mortals and call them to the exalted heavens of the Almighty. Right? So those who reach out and talk to us in days to come, we'll find ourselves on the other side of the flesh, where we're born fully in spirit. And when we get to a certain level of understanding, we can also come back and help our brethren and our sisters to continue to grow and follow their highest light, right? For I am as thy elder brother, so shall it be with thee, to rise also in time to come, and look back to mortals and call them to the exalted heavens of the Almighty. To Jehovah, all adoration and glory forever. Amen. By and through him is all life and motion and power, things, By and through him is all life and motion and power, things seen and unseen. Nor is there an angel in heaven so high or sufficiently wise to comprehend Jehovah in his entirety, nor to see him as thou seest thy fellow man. For he is within all, beyond and over all, being ever present in all places, by doing virtue of his presence, quickening all the living, adorable above all things. Hold on. For he is within all, beyond and over all, being ever present in all places, by virtue of his presence, quickening all the living, adorable above all things. Even as the sun is to the light of day, so is Jehovah to the understanding of all the living. Whereon to contemplate is the road of everlasting life, rising in wisdom, love, and power forever. Hear thy God, O man, and distinguish then that the twain, God and Jehovah, are not the same one, nor more is thy God than what thou shalt be in the time to come. Right? So remember, God is not the creator, right? There's a OAHSPE makes a clear definition or a clear differentiating line between our Creator, above all, in all, omnipresent, the everlasting, all, everything. That is different from God currently on the throne. God currently on the throne would be like the President of the United States, or for us here in America. I know some people watching other places than America, or it would be like your prime minister or whatever. But he doesn't just rule the earth. He also ruled the heavens above the earth. And that the third heaven is where his reign or his ruling, his kingdom stops, because there's a higher ruling above them in Etheria, right? As you go up out of the heavens. But everything on earth and the heavens above, the current God is directly responsible for. And just if you've been in the military, just like there's a God, there's a chain of command under the God, which are gods, sub-gods, lords, Lord gods. But you also have the same thing on the flip side for those who walked away from the Father, from the Creator. And they take on those same titles. They steal names from the good guys and they apply it to themselves, and they trick mortals, right? And then we got all this rigmarole going on down here and can't nobody hear. I mean, if you line yourself up with the Father, then you connected to the keynote. You attuned to the keynote, and then you become made aware of the shenanigans going on in the spiritual realm that's directly affecting us here in the physical realm. I'm just saying, just in case you didn't know. Hold on. That was 14, verse 14. Well, let me go back up. I'm going to go back up to verse 4, right? Aji Shalom, OAHSPE College University, Shalom, Shalom. The God thing is what got me to look for OAHSPE. I know, right? Like, cause you don't get any of that type of differentiation when you just read the Bible, right? I mean, we get, once I've read OAHSPE, now we almost done, but as I began to read through it and go back and read through the Bible, I can clearly see the differing ranks, and it helped bring a lot of stuff into its proper context and on who was speaking, because I was already, remember, I've been reading through the Bible for years, and most years 4 times a year, like every 90 days. That's how I would break it up. I break it up into 4 quarters, right? Read through the entire, from Genesis to Revelation, in 90 days. That's about 10 to 11 chapters a day, right? But as you begin to read through and actually begin to pay attention to what you're reading and meditate on and begin to research it, you begin to notice the tonality and the changes in the voice and like the instructions. You realize that, hold on, the tonality just changed. I thought God was speaking, but now it changes, and now something is wrong. It seems like there's multiple people talking to me, right? So, but many years later, I did not know that I would come across such a book called OAHSPE, right? But this began to answer some of the questions that I had about the voices changing and listening to different people talking about, well, that's Satan in the Old Testament and all this. I'm like, what are you talking about? What? That sounded like foolishness to me. But the more I researched and looked at it, I'm like, well, they bring up a good point, because I had questions about this. I'm like, okay, Father, you tell us not to do this, but then you go right back and do this yourself. How does that make sense? Help me make that make sense, because aren't you like unchanging, same today, tomorrow and forever, right? But saying that, I now understand like a higher law that the Father is always the same. But from our vantage point, it seemed like things are always changing, because in a way they are, and in a way they're constantly fixed, right? So there is constant motion, there is constant growth, there's a constant progression. Even our life from the womb to the tomb tells us that it's such. And it's constantly changing, yet it's forever fixed in its natural order, right? So I'm just like, that's just like, I didn't get that until I got out of pre-K. I'm like, okay, you never change, but yet from my vantage point, it looks like you're constantly changing based on observance of nature, how it constantly changes and cycles repeat, So listen, we're on page 737. chapter 1, Book of Discipline. Oh, you know what, y'all? I just completely overlooked this. I'm sorry. I'm glad I paused. Go back up to the title of this book we had, Book of Discipline. There is a reference letter, letter A. So we know that is found at the, remember the letter references are found at the end of the current book we're reading. The number references are at the footnotes at the bottom of each page. So let's go 746. 746, A says, for reasons that remain unclear, the Book of Discipline was not included in the first printing of the 1882 edition of OAHSPE, even though the style and quality of the text strongly suggest that it was part of the original manuscript. Little note that I've learned, even the first printing edition of OAHSPE was not the first. It was actually the second. Because the first I mentioned a little bit about yesterday was given to John Lant. He was the publisher, so he had the original manuscript that had been typed out by John Newborough. But shortly after the channeling of OAHSPE, or the inspiration of OAHSPE came to him, I just say the forces of darkness got to work on John Newborough, and he fell to the inspiration of his Masonic leaders and stuff. So the original manuscript can be found on the Lant, what is it? The Lant plate? Not the Lant plates. It's another word. Hold on. I mentioned it yesterday, and my day got away from me right after I got off of live, and I didn't get a chance to call, but I will call today. The Lant proof sheets, Lant, L-A-N-T, P-R-O-O-F sheets, the Lant proof sheets. The gentleman's name was John Lant. He was the original publisher for OAHSPE, but like I said, his Masonic brethren got a hold of him, and as he began to tell them about it, and they decided he shouldn't make all of this public, right? Change some stuff, change the wording and stuff, classic Masonic, what they do, right? They hide stuff, take this, no, give them this, let's turn this around here. We should not let them have that. We're going to keep that for ourselves. The ones that are higher raised, we only get this good. That's what happened. So shortly after that happened, he went back to John Lant and let him know he would be making some adjustments. Matter of fact, he was going to be making some adjustments, and he no longer wanted him to print it. So he took everything from John Lant, but John Lant had already got the proof plates ready. I keep calling it proof plates. It's the proof sheets. Lant, write that down. Proof sheets. And that's what's in Mexico, right? And I went back. It's at the New Mexico. It's the University of New Mexico. That's what's being held at in their library under supervision. You can't check it out. You have to stay there. But that's what I want to see. So the 1882 edition, it says the first printing of the 1882 edition, that's not the first edition. That's actually a second edition. The pure unadulterated first edition, you will only find on the Lant proof sheets, right? So it's a lot of stuff. I haven't seen it yet, so I can't say a lot of stuff, but there's definitely some things that have been changed. As Jamia, I want to see it too. We're going to see it. I'm definitely going to call them today. I saw a couple numbers the other day, and some of them were international numbers, but New Mexico is a part of the United States, and there is a number for them that's not international. So I will be calling today. I didn't get a chance to do it yesterday, but I will be calling today. And I'm going to just ask the questions. Hopefully we can get it without having somebody to go to New Mexico, or find somebody there. Hopefully we'll see. I don't know. But let me finish reading this reference, right? Okay. So remember this, it's not this one, because this is clearly like the third or fourth edition. Because the first edition, I think, came out, it was just like paperback. Then you had the one with that's hardback, but it's green. And you also got the 2 volumes, 1 and 2. And I think the 2, don't quote me, I don't know. but it's a few different editions, but none of them are the actual first edition. You're only going to find that on the Lant proof sheets, which is being held in Mexico. Okay, let me just start this reference over again. Reference letter A, page 746. For reasons that remain unclear, the Book of Discipline was not included in the first printing of the 1882 edition of OAHSPE, even though the style and quality of the text strongly suggest that it was part of the original manuscript, since later printings of the 1882 edition did include this book as a supplementary addendum attached to the binding of the book. The editors are convinced that it had indeed been a part of the original manuscript. All versions of the 1891 edition in both America and England, as well as all subsequent editions, included this book as a part of the text. It should be noted that there exist 4 apocryphal books that were never included in any edition of the OAHSPE at any time. 2 were definitely never part of the original manuscript. The first was Government and Laws of Faithless Fraternities, which was written in 1884, and the Book of Gratius, found in Levitica, written in 1886, long after OAHSPE was published. So I'm not sure who was the author of this, but I do know that after the original inspiration of OAHSPE, John Newberow decided to take it upon himself to try and tap in again. And those you can tell from what I understand. I haven't read them yet, but looking into them and what other people were saying, they said that they can clearly tell that there's a difference in the tonality of how even just the words flow. You can tell that this is something that he was able to think of himself, comparing those texts that he wrote after it versus what came in OAHSPE. They said with his level of education, even all his secret information, all this other stuff, and how he was developing certain things, him out of his own person could not have developed OAHSPE based on his other writings that he wrote before and after the channeling, right? So that's also something we need to include, because you know how sometimes you're like, those who have a spiritual ear and have any kind of spiritual alertness about them, you can tell when somebody's talking out of their flesh and then when there's a higher inspiration that's flowing through them at the moment, right? So I would say at this point, with some of the stuff I've seen, I haven't seen everything written by John Newberow, but I'm definitely going through it. A lot of times I can tell the difference, and I can call out the crap. It's really, really easy to decipher, right? Tabitha said, the Lion Den had a field day with OAHSPE. They were pulling from different characters and verses. I'm glad when they are finished, they would read the whole of OAHSPE. Right? I know, right? They're unauthorized cherry pickers, right? And that's no disrespect, but it's just, you can't really, even if you're going to make a good point, you cannot make a good point until you've actually read through it. That's what a good researcher would do. A good teacher would actually read through a text, right? Because how foolish would you look if you have students that read the syllabus and you didn't? And we can tell you, what are you doing? You ain't read it. You ain't read the syllabus, did you, teacher? You teaching us? And some students get up and walk out of class. And that's what they're going to find is going to happen to them. Because while they're unauthorized cherry picking through OAHSPE and trying to snap back at the ones that's trying to like, listen, y'all, let's, aren't we told to be like the Bereans? Aren't we? Aren't we to test all things? Aren't we to go back and see if all these things be true? Right? Aren't we? Even if we never read that, doesn't that just make good common sense to check into something before you just completely throw the baby out with the bathwater? I ain't gonna say keep everything. Definitely don't throw the baby away. Clean the bathwater can be changed, right? The bathwater can be changed. You can't restore the life of the baby, right? At least not here in this realm. And that's what a lot of people doing. They throwing the baby. I'm going to go get a baby a bath and come back with a baby. What do you mean with a baby? I threw the baby away when I got rid of the bath water. Then it's going to be a big fight. Listen. But that seems foolish to me. Maybe that's just my understanding. It's probably not foolish to them where they're doing it because from their perspective, they really think they're trying to warn people against heresy and stuff like that. And I get that. But if you want to warn people against heresy, don't just put up a big warning, don't go here. Explain to them why. Just like we was reading through the portion of Shalom when it was teaching the children, right? Like we see movies, and in Shalom, or when Shalom teaches, if a drunkard or somebody that's addicted to drugs or has any kind of vice has to be shown to children who are learning, they don't just show them the drunkard stumbling down the street or beating on his wife, right? What they do, they show the person who is under the influence of whatever, they show him, but they also show the spiritual realm as well. That's how Shalom teaches, right? That's how good teachers teach. So you can get a good contrasting and comparing view of what is actually taking place, because everything that manifests here has already manifested on the spiritual realm, which most people are oblivious of and cannot see, and they're completely spiritually dumb, and they don't even recognize that they themselves are spirits. They don't even recognize that. So the way that you would teach a child is when you're showing them this on why certain things are bad or harmful for you, you show the spiritual influence behind it, right? So when somebody's making a life decision, whether they want to kill somebody or not kill somebody, open up the spiritual realm. Like pause it. Like some movies, they pause and you go to another scene. Pause that scene. The man or woman with the gun about ready to take somebody's life. Pause the fleshly scene. Open up the spiritual realm so you can see behind the doors. Look at the angels of light that are like, Johnny, don't do it. No, bro, you don't want to do this. This is not the way of righteousness. This is not the way of the Father. You're going to have to pay for this. You're going to go to jail. Then we see it in the movies, right? The angel and the devil on the shoulder. They're showing you some of this stuff, but nobody ever pays attention. Nobody ever pays attention to this type of stuff, right? And then you got the angels of darkness, or the ones that come from ooze. Johnny, take that nigga out right now, right? They hyping you up to just do the worst, not thinking about your life, the family, your children, your mama, daddy, everybody you're going to be causing pain to, not just your own family, but the family of the person's life you about to take. And they don't tell you how they're going to be waiting for you on the other side because you took their life. You got to pay for this, right? They don't show you all of that. It's just do as thou wilt. There are no repercussions to anything you do, right? And I'm just like, listen, you have to teach people this, because some people are just astute students, and you're not gonna be able to just tell them anything, right? Because everything you say, they're gonna go back and check. Like me, I'm that student. I'm gonna go back. I don't care. You mama, daddy, grandmama, the teacher put in charge, you the dean. Look, I don't care. I'm gonna check into what you said, because you ain't gonna have me out here looking like boo-boo the fool, right? It's time past for that. It's been enough of that in my early Christian years. Sorry, I will not find myself in that place ever again, right? So why they making fun of everybody that's trying to, at least open it up and read it. Put everybody's bias, everybody else's opinion. That's like going to the movies, that movie sucked, but you go watch the movie, and it's like, this was really a good movie. Everybody has their own perspective according to their own current light and their understanding and their experiences and filters in life. So they're going to get a different understanding from what somebody else gets. Somebody may be able to pull more from something than somebody who is able to only pull a little. But what you can pull is the level that you're currently at. So that's what's happening. Why they're talking mad trash about OAHSPE and attacking the people who is trying to show our brethren and sisters. Guys, just judge the information. We're going to talk about the shenanigans that the guy who wrote it or the guy who channeled it. We need to address that, rightfully so, right? But it seems like they can't get past the people who channel it. You sit and talk about your pastors all day, right? I don't see none of y'all throwing away y'all Bibles because y'all pastor out here committing adultery and stuff. Oh, don't you put your mouth on a man of God. Touch not my anointed, do my prophets no harm. Heifer, if you don't get out of my face with that crap, I'll tell you that in a quick second. Listen, it's the same thing. It's like, so you got double standards now. You choose and pick the information that you want to follow. And you Don't choose for the people. Let the people decide. At least give them a clear picture. Don't unauthorized cherry pick through stuff. At least actually go read it for yourself without all the biases. Then formulate your questions and bring out points, right? And then after that, okay, what can we say? And according to the highest light that you have, that's what you got. And that's okay. But at least read through it first. Like, read through it with the intentions of learning and seeing the good and not just the bad. Be balanced. And they're all the way at the other end of the spectrum, you know? And then, like they're at the other end of the spectrum, you got people that are all the way at the other end, and they follow things blindly. And neither am I telling you to do that. Do not do that. Don't follow OAHSPE like that, because if you follow OAHSPE like that at the other end of the spectrum, you're going to find yourself in a shalom like John Newborough. He took it all the way to the other end, right? And now you got people following you blindly, and they put you up on a pedestal, and you're just as bad as they are, right? So that's why we're going through this together. We decipher the information, test the information, yeah? Okay, now what happened to this person? How did they seem to fall off and make such a bad example of this? Because it's not speaking too highly of OAHSPE or what we find in there. How do we explain this? Okay, now we need to do a case study on what they did or didn't do. And we will see that there were some terrible blunders John Newborough made, right? And we know the world we live in, violence sells, sex sells, everything negative sells. And so that's what's hyped up in our generation and social media. That's all you're going to see. You go looking for the Hebrews. What you going to find when you Google? You're going to find the ones on the corner talking trash, cursing, doing all manner of everything, calling women dogs and all this other stuff. If you don't take all of this into account, you're going to find yourself blowing like a leaf in the wind. Ain't going to be able to stop yourself. You have no foundation. Right? And that's what this is what we're trying to prevent. We're trying to raise up in the grades, or we're trying to develop. If you don't like that term because it sounds too OAHSPE like, we're trying to help you grow spiritually. If you like those terms better, okay, let's just use the definition of that. We're trying to help you grow spiritually, right? Trying to raise your awareness, right? Listen. Let me go back. Can't post links unless you're the moderator. Who trying to post the link? Hold on. You find the real OAHSPE in New Mexico. I'm gonna be that's where it is. And nobody's seen that except for John Newborough, his Masonic friends, and John Lant, who was the original publisher of it, but they snatched everything. He decided to keep the plates because of what he read. The plates are there. That's what we need to get. Okay. I'll go back to Tabitha comment. She said the Lion Den had a field day with the OAHSPE. They were pulling from different characters and verses. I'm glad when they're finished, they would have read. I would be glad when they're finished if they would read the whole of OAHSPE. Okay. OAHSPE College University, I just answered that. The real version, yes, the real version. The original version. What, Tabitha? They said they even use OAHSPE College University video. I'm gonna have you can't post the link here. Y'all can, if you can minimize this, go to the actual comment section. Post the link down there. I want to see it too. I'm a bit nosy. I know I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna just be like, oh my goodness. Oh, let me finish my thought. There are going to be some people that are listening to them, even of their following brothers and sisters that support them and everything they teach. It's going to get them curious enough to actually go purchase their own copy. Now, they ain't going to tell nobody that they didn't want to purchase the copy of OAHSPE, because I'm sure it wasn't just us that caused OAHSPE to go out of print, you know, and from the current printers of it and from Amazon. Remember that? It wasn't just because all of us, we already had it. There were some people who was like, man, what is this? They was buying it, but I'm almost certain that is some of them channels that's talking trash about it. A lot of their brethren and congregation sent OAHSPE out of print. Ain't nobody gonna talk about that though. Everybody gonna be like, no, OAHSPE what? You don't got no OAHSPE. What is that? Jesus who? But they the ones back there hanging out in the background. Coming in under different channel names and stuff, so they don't, you know. Okay. Sonetta told JJ not to come back to his channel. I bet, some people, he got a lot of passion behind him, and it seems it could be more balanced from what I see. I ain't gonna say nothing bad about the brother, but everybody's at their own level of growth. Hold on. Okay. Yeah, put the link in the comment section. It's not gonna show in the chat. If I don't post it, it won't show. Prince Yehuda, bless up. Okay, I think that's it. What's happening? So I asked the Lion's Den, if OAHSPE is a wicked book, why you guys spending so much time on it? Sailor and Cosmon is always their topic. Yeah, what's going to happen is bad publicity sells. It's going to drive them people, because simply, if nothing else, is because they nosy. They driving them to the channels. And especially if they could be a little nosy, but there are some people, okay, let me just see the gist of what was really being said. Because a lot of them know that they take stuff out of context just to drive home a point or whatever. And with some of them knowing that, they're going to go and hear the whole story. And that's a good thing, right? Or whether they come through this way or this way, at least it'll drive them to places and they can hear the whole of the matter and decide for themselves. And some of them are wondering, okay, so I really don't see, I can tell that you took this out of context based on what I read. People are waking up using their own good common sense, right? We ain't gonna say nothing bad about them. It's just, when you're a child, you think like a child. When you're an adult, you put away childish things. That's all I'm gonna say about that. Okay, let me, there are a lot of new people on Selah and Malachi's channel. Absolutely right. Lindsay, y'all, shalom, brother. Fritz, shalom. Did I say Jamil? Hey, girl. Hey, you off to work? Drive safe, sis. Okay. I will do a video about Ehin and Droop because Asu was dark chocolate color and dark complexion. So the main Adam race was dark color. So our main ancestor was dark and brown. Okay. We'll look forward to your video. I think Selah did a few videos on that trying to explain it as well. Even some of that stuff, they just taking shots at everything without really, let me get back to this. Before I find myself, keep my comments to myself. Hold on. Did we finish this? Let me reread this reference again. Reference 8, we're going to start all over. Okay. Page 746, reference letter A, which we find at the beginning of the chapter title, Book of Discipline. It says A, for reasons that remain unclear, the Book of Discipline was not included in the first printing of the 1882 edition of OAHSPE, even though the style and quality of the text strongly suggests that it was part of the original manuscript. Since later printings of the 1882 edition did include this book as a supplementary addendum attached to the binding of the book, the editors are convinced that it had indeed been a part of the original manuscript. All versions of the 1891 editions in both America and England, as well as all subsequent editions, included this book as part of the text. It should be noted that there exist 4 apocryphal books that were never included in any edition of OAHSPE at any time. 2 were definitely never a part of the original manuscript. The first was Government and Laws of Faithless Fraternities, which was written in 1884, and the Book of Gradius, founded in Levitica, written in 1886, long after OAHSPE was published. The 2 other books, however, are associated with the mystery surrounding the editing process prior to the publishing of the first edition. The 2 other books, however, are associated with the mystery surrounding the editing process prior to the publishing of the first edition in 1882. It seems that a significant portion of the original manuscript was withheld merely to shorten the book to lower publication costs. Andrew Howland, for example, noted in a letter that Ben's Book of Praise was perhaps twice as long as what was published. Also, it is notable that the caption below plate number 65, Aries, in the 1882 edition of OAHSPE, directs the reader to refer to the Book of Japheth, which no one, to the editor's knowledge, has ever seen anywhere at any time, which I'm almost certain we will find on those Lant proof sheets. All right. Also, it is notable that the caption below plate number 65, Aries, in the 1882 edition of OAHSPE, directs the reader to refer to the book of Japheth, which no one, to the editor's knowledge, has ever seen anywhere at any time. Unfortunately, we cannot verify this either way because the original manuscript was destroyed, but the plates still exist, or the proof sheets, and they're in Mexico. We do know, however, that the Book of Knowledge had been part of the original manuscript because it was copied by Wing Anderson, publisher of Blue OAHSPE, from the original John Lant plates. I didn't even know John Lant plates was even in here. Listen, y'all, we on to something. It's my first time ever reading this footnote. Hold on, let me read it again. We do know, however, that the Book of Knowledge had been a part of the original manuscript because it was copied by Wing Anderson. Let me see, I gotta put his name, Wing Anderson. All these names that I'm coming across is like pieces of the puzzle. And if he was able to extract this from the original plates, and I came across something that mentioned something like this, but they weren't able to get all of what was there on the plates, right? My nosiness serves me well in this day. Who would have known? Like, I used to always get in trouble when I was young for being nosy. My aunt, one of my aunts used to call me Miss Privilege, right? Because I thought that I always needed to be in a room with the adults to hear what was going on. I was always eavesdropping, going to tell everybody what was happening. Who would have known a nosy little kid would be a really good researcher? That little nosiness is going to serve her well when she get a little bit older. I mean, y'all, she get in trouble for it now, but, you know, that's like the prophecy of my life. Hold on. What'd he say? After this video, they will go on paid vacation. Bye. That is funny. Beautiful butterfly. April's journey. Shalom, says the mom. Okay. Be safe. All right. Listen. We do know, however, that the Book of Knowledge had been part of the original manuscript because it was copied by Wing Anderson, publisher of the Blue OAHSPE, from the original John Lant plates. A small sampling of those plates survived, and it was from that incomplete remnant that definitely the Book of Knowledge and possibly the Book of Oranathan were extracted. The Book of Oranathan might have been written after Nubarol was in Shalom, so its origin is more doubtful. All right, we're gonna see. We need to see what is left of these plates. Okay. The Book of Oranathan is hard to place in context of OAHSPE, but the Book of Knowledge had definitely been part of the Book of Ben before being edited out. The Book of Knowledge survives as a few disjointed pieces with some missing segments, but it, along with the Book of Oranathan, have been included in the appendix. All the preceding points give further credence to the obvious facts that OAHSPE is not a perfect book, but it is no secret that this was the understanding and expressed perspective of its angelic authors. Only Jehovah is perfect, and Jehovah is our only ultimate source for inspiration. We should learn from this book, but not worship it. I like how they put this in here. And some people, if they would read through, they would understand that ain't nobody trying to make this a religion or a cult, right? Just like we pull wisdom from the book of Proverbs and the book of Psalms, we extract wisdom from wherever we go, right? Even a bum on the street can give you wisdom. He can give you unspoken wisdom by you observing, right? You should be able to pull wisdom from everywhere as you get older. And let you know that there's a couple things that happened to this person for them to be in this situation. Either one, they're truly lazy to the core and just don't want to do nothing. There could be something mentally wrong with the person. There could have been bad circumstances surrounding their life for which they haven't come back from yet, right? There's just a lot of things. Just like rolling through the neighborhood and seeing a house with weeds overgrown, right? Like the book of Proverbs says, right? You can, if the house is overgrown with weeds and it's been unkept, there's one or two things that's happening, right? First of all, it could be an elderly person who is no longer able to keep up the house and they don't have any friends or family, or even caring neighbors to help them keep their yard under control, or even to see about their well-being. And that says a lot about your neighbors that you have. Nobody should be that way, right? Or it could very well be that all of that resides on the inside of you. And if the outside of your house is a mess, the inside of your house is going to be a mess. And if the inside of your house is going to be a mess, your body is going to be a mess. And you're going to be disgusted on the inside too. I'm just saying. We should learn from this book, but not worship it. Even though the title says the words of Jehovah, it is still, at best, secondhand information having been interpreted through and transmitted by the angel host to a medium, John Nubero. The only first-hand inspiration one can ever receive is from the voice of the Creator speaking within one's own soul directly. All secondhand information, including OAHSPE, as impressive as it may be, should be put to the test of our own inspired intelligence and reason. The only gospel, as far as any individual is concerned, should be of the voice within. That is following one's highest light. That is amazing. That is found. We just read that out of OAHSPE itself, right? And for all the, I like how Malachi said, all the jaw jackers and naysayers, right? If they would just read this, they would see that what they're assuming things to be is not truly that, because even OAHSPE tells you to test it, right? Test it, put it to the test, and decide, you judge based on your current highest light, right? I know, right? Kendrick, I really love how that wrote that. It's amazing. Okay, so now let's start it. We have 44 minutes. Let's start it over. That was the first and only reference for this small little book. So let's go back. That was under the title, Book of Discipline. Chapter 1, God revealeth who he is. This is the word from the organic heaven. Hear the words of thy God, O man. I am thy brother, risen from mortality to a holy place in heaven. Profit thou in my wisdom, and be admonished by my love. For as I am thy elder brother, so shall it be with thee, to rise also in time to come, and look back to mortals, and call them to the exalted heavens of the Almighty. To Jehovah, all adoration and glory forever. Amen. By and through him is all life and motion and power, things seen and unseen. Nor is there an angel in heaven so high or sufficiently wise to comprehend Jehovah in his entirety, nor to see him as thou seest thy fellow man. For he is within all, beyond and over all, being ever present in all places, doing by virtue of his presence, quickening all the living, adorable above all things, even as the sun is to the light of day, so is Jehovah to the understanding of all the living. Whereon to contemplate is the road of everlasting life, rising in wisdom, love, and power forever, right? To contemplate. Whereon to contemplate is the road of everlasting life, rising in wisdom, love, and power. We were just talking about observation. Same thing, contemplating, rolling these things over in your mind, meditating. Hear thy God, O man, and distinguish then that the twain, God and Jehovah, are not the same one, nor more is thy God than what thou shalt be in time to come. First, mortality, then death, which is the first resurrection. Such are the spirits of the dead, angels dwelling with mortals upon the earth, where they abide, some for a few years, some for 100, and some for 1,000 or more. Second, angel organization in heaven, and their abandonment of mortals, which is the second resurrection. As a kingdom on earth hath a king, and the king is nevertheless a mortal, so in like manner is the heavenly place of thy God a kingdom of angels, and the chief over them is God, an angel too. Howbeit the kingdom of thy God embraceth all the heavens of the earth, so it is also with all corporal worlds and their atmosphere in heavens, a God and organic heavens belonging to each and all of them. Nor is this all, for there is a third resurrection, in which the angels rise still higher in wisdom, love, and power, and are sent by thy God into Etheria. And when this happened, that's called and the Bible talks about it, right? It's just give you bits and pieces of truth, that a bigger truth that just hasn't all been put together, that we're putting together now. The Bible calls them brides and bridegrooms. A lot of people misunderstand the term brides and bridegrooms, like Jesus married to him, I'm a bridegroom, yay. No, wrong understanding, kind of, sort of, not really. You need all the missing pieces to really probably understand it, right? When you graduate, when you go through all this, we'll just say, go through all the schools here. You go through Earth School, develop your spirit. Even if when you pass out of here, you got to do remedial classes in the spirit, and you at the realm of Hada, or the church calls hell, for a while, until you get delivered and work this out and restore it to your right mind and continue to grow in wisdom and go through all the levels and rise to the second heaven and third heaven. Once you get to the highest grade, which is 99, you are capable of being, you would have risen to the level, meaning if you get to grade 99, that means you worked out all the flaws out your not necessarily the flesh, because you've been lost your flesh. Worked everything out of your spirit and your soul, and you are pure, right? And the ones who are pure, they have worked out all the wrinkles and blemishes, bride without spot nor wrinkle. Those are the brides and bridegrooms, and they graduate from God's dominion, from earth and from the three heavens that he controls, right? And they brides and bridegrooms, and they're the ones that's taken into Etheria, and they just go to another level of college, another level of understanding, right? Verse 17, as a kingdom on earth hath a king, and the king is nevertheless immortal, so in like manner is the heavenly place of thy God a kingdom of angels, and the chief over them is God, an angel also. Howbeit the kingdom of thy God embraceth all the heavens of the earth, so it is also with all corporal worlds and their atmospheric heavens, a God and organic heavens belonging to each and all of them. Nor is this all, for there is a third resurrection, in which the angels rise still higher in wisdom, love, and power, and are sent by God into Etheria, the brides and bridegrooms, sent into Etheria, midway between the planets, the highest of all heavens, over which there are chiefs, who are also gods and goddesses of still more comprehensive attributes. Therefore, I am as any other spirit of the dead, a one-time man upon the earth, even as thou art in this day, but one within the organic heavens of the earth. Chapter 2. The subtitle under chapter 2, or chapter II, or look like LL, this Roman numeral 2. God explaineth the first and second resurrection and the difference in manifestations from them. Yeah, right. Yeah. The false God, Tabitha said, the false gods made us to misunderstand the term brides and bridegrooms. And that's a lot of stuff. Like I would go as far to say, it's pair the OAHSPE with the Bible. You would get a much more rich education than what you would get if you just read the Bible like we did. Because now we've grown up all our lives, at least those coming from the Christian background, right? And I talk about that a lot because I'm familiar with, that's where I come from. That's my expertise, right? Now that I've grown up in that, I can tell you everything, right? Now that I pair that with this, it makes my insight a whole lot clearer, and I'm able to rightfully discern things that are there. I would not throw everything away, right? I wouldn't. I will still keep my Bible till I pass away from here, because I know that there are words of the Father in there. There's truth found in there, although everything is not in there. Man wrote it, rewrote it, regurgitated, changed it. There's still light of the Father that can be found for anybody who grabs a hold of it, and that light will reach out to you. That's what happened. That's how we get here, right? We're searching for light constantly, searching for light. It's all around. Brian's Yogi, shalom. Okay. God explaineth the first and second resurrection and the difference in manifestations from them. Chapter 2, page 737. Hear me, O man, and consider the weight of the arguments of thy God. thou hast communed with the spirits of the dead, thy father and mother and sister and brother, who are gone from mortality, have spoken to thee in spirit, and thou art convinced. And thy kin and thy neighbor have done so likewise. Yea, from east to west and north to south, the communion of angels and a multitude of miracles have stirred up thousands and millions to know that the souls of the dead do live. Moreover, thou wert taught in thy youth to say, I believe in the holy communion of angels, and of a truth this has come to pass. And thou rejoicest with all thy heart and soul. Thou puttest aside the ancient scriptures, saying, why shall I read them? Do I not converse with heaven itself? Behold, I have seen my father and mother and brother and sister who were dead. They have spoken to me. There is no devil nor place of hell. For a season thy God has suffered this also to come to pass, that the spirits say there is no God, that there is no higher heaven than to dwell upon the earth, to enjoy the things thereof, to be reincarnated, and to live over and over in mortality. And we all know, we're just going to get into it, but we know that this specifically talks about this, and it teaches us how the whole reincarnation thing came about. It is no other than your disembodied brethren and sisterin that's trying to get back into a body, into life, right? They put you into a sunken place, and then they start speaking through you, inspiring you, oppressing and possessing and obsessing you to tell people that you were born again. This is your 14th life. I was John in my last life. I'm Joan of Arc this life. I'm like, if you don't go sit your mixed up multiple disorder stuff down somewhere. Hold up. For a season thy God have suffered this also to come to pass, that the spirits say there is no God, that there is no higher heaven than to dwell upon the earth, to enjoy the things thereof, to be reincarnated, and to live over and over in mortality, that the evidence of my words might be substantiated by thy experience, and thou be led to consider the testimonies, present and past, in order to comprehend the plan of Jehovah's works, and the glory and completeness thereof. Consider then the result of angel communion as thou hast found it, and bear witness that Jehovah was wise in providing comfort to both the dead and the living by this proximity of spirit unto them, rather than a heaven far remote. Nevertheless, this also hath been proved unto thee, that there are false angels and wise angels, as well as false seers and wise seers, and that out of the multitude of revelations from them there have come neither harmony nor good works. They have been pullers down and clearers away of the ancient revelations, doctrines, and religions, but they have built not an edifice of unity and glory to the Almighty. And it hath been shown thee that not only the seer, prophet, suist, and miracle worker, but that all people are subject to the influence of the spirits of the dead, even though unconsciously to themselves. Just like we was talking about the angel and the devil on your shoulder. Everybody's being influenced, right? And according to the strength of your character and your spirit will determine which voice of inspiration you give into. And we can look at your actions and see who you're listening to, right? And it hath been shown thee that not only the seer, prophet, suist, and miracle worker, but that all people are subject to the influence of the spirits of the dead, even though unconsciously to themselves. And it has been shown that the spirits of the dead possess for a long time, And it has been shown that the spirits of the dead possess for a long period of time the same characteristics and prejudices as when in mortality. And since there is neither harmony nor community of life amongst mortals, neither is there harmony nor community of life, nor of teaching amongst the angels who manifest unto them. For the angels through one prophet teach the doctrine. Verse 12. We're on page 738. Verse 12. For the angels through one prophet teach one doctrine, and through another prophet another doctrine, after the manner of the doctrines of the prophets themselves. Consider also the multitude of infants that die without any knowledge of either earth or heaven, and the multitude of unlearned and foolish and depraved. For all of these, as well as the wise and good, enter the first resurrection. And of the wise and good who strive for continual elevation, meaning we're constantly seeking to sharpen ourselves, not just physically, but also spiritually, and our understanding. I mean, we're constantly trying to progress. We're doing everything we can to progress. And then when we realize that we're doing something wrong, or this belief or whatever it is no longer suits us, we are quick to shed those things that no longer serve us. Just like you would put away a tight pair of drawers, it's going to restrict you, going to cut off your circulation, going to leave marks. To change your drawers, get a bigger size. It no longer serves you. You can't fit it. Your butt too big. Anything after that, and you keep wearing them tight drawers, is utter insanity. And then verse 10, verse 12. For the angels through one prophet teach one doctrine, and through another prophet another doctrine, after the manner of the doctrines of the prophets themselves. Consider also the multitude of infants that die without any knowledge of either earth or heaven, and the multitude of unlearned and foolish and depraved. For all of these, as well as the wise and good, enter the first resurrection. And of the wise and good who strive for continual elevation, how few compared to the whole. Yet such is the relative proportions of angels of light and angels of darkness in proximity to mortals. Thus hath it ever been. Nevertheless, in time long past, the minority who were wise and good were moved by the Spirit of Jehovah upon them, saying, Come ye together, all ye who desire to rise to a higher heaven. My heavens are for raising the soul upward forever and ever. And if you got your highlighters, go ahead and highlight that, right? Don't you ever forget that. We can see that that's true just observing life. Plant kingdom, everything is for perpetual growth. And if it bears no fruit, we cut it off, or it of itself dies and withers away, right? If there's no life, listen. Even with all the, like Malachi say, all the jawjackers and naysayers, things without life of themselves die, they dry up, they die, and they wither away. We shouldn't give a second thought to all of those who are constantly coming against what we understand now as being a higher light for us. Don't worry about that. Do not focus on that. Things without life dry up of themselves. They wither away and they die off. Remember that. Hold on. Verse 16. Come ye together, all ye who desire to rise to a higher heaven. My heavens are for raising the soul upward forever and ever. And thy God gathered them together and said unto them, Behold, this darkness is more than we can bear. Let us hence and inhabit a heaven by ourselves, where there shall be no wrangling or falsehood or malice or blasphemy against our Creator. And they responded, Yea, let us hence. And we will covenant ourselves unto Jehovah to return no more to these regions, nor to mortals on earth. For doth not the behavior of mortals invite darkness rather than light? Do they not want us for servants, to find lost treasures or riches or social indulgences, or to entertain them with miracles? Think about it. Yes, that's true. Think about the magic books and stuff like that. Calling on your ancestors. Listen, calling on your ancestors is a correct term. Because your ancestors are one-time mortals like you. They're still hanging around. The first resurrection, the first heaven is tightly intertwined with this realm. That's how you got all these spiritual shenanigans going on, right? You calling out to grandma to help you, or you calling out to ghosts or demons or whatever, however you want to term them. They're simply disembodied brethren and sisterin, right? Some of them learn how to sue us and take on manifestations and forms of different things, and some of them they ain't got enough education. Some of them can only manifest the hand. Y'all see that writing on the wall? Everybody know y'all see them 5 fingers. Granddaddy playing with y'all, right? Granddaddy's playing with y'all. When y'all really understand this, it's going to be life. First of all the spookism and all that stuff is completely wiped away. Like, y'all get out of here with this crap. Go ahead now. Quit playing. You're going to be here. You're going to be here to learn. But don't come here trying to, stir up the atmosphere. But when your spirit is stronger than the current disembodied or unseen spirits, or whether you want to call them demons that are around, you can help raise them up. Either they're going to stand, they're going to learn, they're going to stop with the foolishness. They may not completely stop with the foolishness until they pass that and get it out their system, but they'll fall in line. You have authority, especially over your own household. This is your domain. Bring them into line, right? But if you scared and you running through the house, they're going to chase you through your house. You be scared to go to bed. I don't want to go home tonight. Can I stay tonight at your house? We need a priest. We need to go exorcise the demons at my house. We need to be. First of all, what is you doing with your life? That's your house, my G. You gonna let them run your house? And some people like, they can have a house. I'm moving to Oklahoma. And some people do that. They abandon their houses. They abandoned their houses. It's a haunted house. Look. Verse 19. I gotta hurry up. And they responded, yea, let us hence, and we will covenant ourselves unto Jehovah to return no more to these regions, nor to mortals on earth. For doth not the behavior of mortals invite darkness rather than light? Do they not want us for servants to find lost treasure or riches or social indulgence, or to entertain them with miracles? And these are some of the spirits that's been disembodied. And they're like, we're sick of this. We need a higher light. We need to keep rising, right? Look. That's good, Key. Key said, okay, when I be hearing little stuff in the house, I be saying you got to stop playing and practice good works to others so you can rise off this plane. To talk to them. They can, them jokers they can hear you. Listen, they can hear you. They can hear you. They absolutely can hear you. I got some crazy stories. We ain't going to share them right now. We'll save that for the spooky hour. We can get into a lot of the spooky hour when we start over, because y'all see if y'all hear. Listen, y'all see. Listen, verse 20, 738. Thus it came to pass that the wisest and best angels departed away from the earth, away from mortals, and away from the inharmonious presence of the legions of the spirits of the dead, and they inhabited a heavenly region by themselves. And they covenanted themselves unto Jehovah, not to return again single-handed to minister unto mortals, neither to return again to mortals, save they came in phalanxes, and only then when duly authorized and directed by their most holy council and their chief, who was God. Such then was the beginning of the second resurrection, and the condition of membership required the renunciation of all associations and conditions below it, and the rank of all such angels was angels of God, or angels of Jehovah, in contradistinction from the angels of the first resurrection, who know no organization for righteousness' sake. But that mortals be not left in darkness, behold, thy God and his holy council prepared certain rules of discipline and conduct and commandments, whereby the angels of the second resurrection should be as a unit in their duties and teachings thereafter, right? So if we understand these things, we can start operating. We can help the spirits that could be hovering around haunting your house, helping to raise them up, right? So we're in line, we're in tune with the keynote, right? And so when they pass from the first resurrection to the second, they're already in alignment. They understand these things, and we're working jointly. Us here in the flesh, we should be in tunes, and the angels in the higher levels, we're all singing the same song, helping to raise our brothers and sisters up. It just looks a little bit different from our vantage point because we're here. There's different things on this realm that we need to be aware of that they don't have on the next realm, like the flesh. So some of those rules don't apply, but we need to put those in operation here. For our vantage point, it looked like, well, the Father changes. No, he doesn't. It's forever fixed. There's a natural order of things. And if you don't understand it, you just don't understand it until you do, right? But there's a perfect harmony that flows through all the levels of earth and the heavens, right? And we should be in line with the line of light, the keynote, which is the creator, and we should all be singing the same song, even though we have different instruments and the tunes from us sound different, but we all are harmonized and the song is beautiful, right? Listen. Verse 23, page 738. But that mortals be not left in darkness, behold, thy God and his holy council hath prepared certain rules of discipline and conduct and commandments, whereby the angels of the second resurrection should be as a unit in their doings and teachings thereafter. Chief of which rules was that the angels of Jehovah should never manifest themselves as individuals unto mortals, lest mortals become servants to and worshipers of the spirits instead of the all-highest Jehovah, which is why our guardian angels are not to manifest themselves to us, right? Because if our guardian angel is named, just call me Joe, my G. Joe, listen, how I do this? And so instead of directly talking to the creator, now you're talking to Joe, your unseen guardian angel, right? It gets you all chopped and screwed. You can't focus on the creator because you too enthralled with Joe and him being able to go in and out of manifested flesh and all that stuff, right? Same thing. Like, something my sister was trying to figure out months ago. Okay, so now we're aware of this. Who do we talk to? Do we still just talk directly to Jehovah? Or now we know they're helping us, do we talk directly to them? Putting it to the test, we understand why we should still talk directly to the creator. Even though the answer may come, they may whisper back to us what they hear the Father say and inspire us. This is the right way to go. But you choose, right? They help make things clear, right? So at all times, we always communicate to the Father directly, and he will answer us the best way we will understand according to our highest light where we currently stand, right? Okay. I'll say something. First time, shalom. Yes, Shebrew, and we should be talking directly to the creator. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Never at any time should you address your guardian angels. I mean, y'all get it, right? You can definitely talk to the shenanigans. Y'all better stop it or whatever, right? Y'all, as y'all grow, y'all get it, right? Just, All right. Let me do this. Okay. Verse 23, I read again. But that mortals be not left in darkness, behold, thy God and his holy council prepared certain rules of discipline and conduct and commandments, whereby the angels of the second resurrection should be as a unit in their duties and teachings thereafter. Chief of which rules was that the angels of Jehovah should never manifest themselves as individuals unto mortals, lest mortals become servants to and worshipers of the spirits instead of the all-highest Jehovah. It diverts your attention on this level. Second to this, that when the angels of Jehovah should be appointed to mortals, it should be as guardians over infants to inspire them by way of the natural consciousness within as to what was right and good in reference to eternal life, and that such guardian angels be in phalanxes of millions and tens of millions, but still in close membership with our God and his holy council in order to relieve one another on guard. For by inspirations of the angels of thy God, the individual entity of a mortal is directed in its normal growth. But by the angels of the first resurrection, mortals are used abnormally by entrancement, by miracles, or by sargas, oracles, or otherwise. And we can see this, a lot of that is just happening all over the place. You got rogue prophets and everything. They're allowing, they having seances and all kinds of craziness happening. Like, you look wrong. I'm out. Right? Then this should open our eyes and practice it. Practice it by watching movies and stuff. And when you go observe people, look at how they're acting out. You see somebody out there cursing out the cashier. Well, come on, I got to get to work. Why is it our problem that you left your house late? You know you're supposed to be to work at 8. You decided to leave at 7:59 and still go past the store. Why is that our problem? Right? Just imagine the unseen forces. When you see somebody acting out of character or acting crazy, I want you to just imagine the angelic host and the angels of darkness operating behind the scenes and how they're pulling them. back and forth. Just be aware of that. Look at it, observe it, right? Verse 26. But by the inspirations of the angels of thy God, the individual entity of a mortal is directed in its normal growth. But by the angels of the first resurrection, or Hada, or those not in the line of light with the Creator, but by the angels of the first resurrection, mortals are used abnormally by entrancement, by miracles, or by sargas, oracles, or otherwise, that the angels of God might inspire mortals with the same inspiration. Behold, he and his holy council prepared certain instructions with rules, words, and commandments adapted to the understanding of mortals for the good of their souls, pandering not to their earthly desires. Such words being designated as sacred writings in the original, for the most part, perverted or lost sight afterward. Let me read the whole verse again. Verse 27. That the angels of God might inspire mortals with the same inspiration, behold, he and his holy council prepared certain instructions with rules, words, and commandments adapted to the understanding of mortals for the good of their souls, pandering not to their earthly desires. Such words being designated as sacred writings in the original, though for the most part perverted or lost sight afterward. Chief angels over these phalanxes being lords, marshals, captains, and so on, the second resurrection being orderly, disciplined, and organized in its glorious work. And I think I really take to this because I'm a veteran, right? So I understand ranks and all of this stuff, and this just makes perfect sense. Otherwise, you will have a whole division out of order. Somebody going off doing their own thing might get everybody killed. There has to be an order. And we see that not just in the military, but there's the order, there's the ranks everywhere. They're just called different things. Thus, my lords have angels under them who are authorized and ordained in my name and in the name of Jehovah to abide for times and seasons with mortals as guardians and inspirers, to provide dreams, thoughts, and visions in the minds of mortals, and to otherwise labor in the elevating them in purity, love, and wisdom. Such then are the angels of God and of Jehovah, and their teachings are the same as my Lord's and thy God's, nor doth one of them teach a matter in one way, and another teach it differently. Howbeit there are different grades and systems adapted to the different degrees of intelligence of the different peoples on the earth, right? And so that simply says is, everybody in tune with the Creator, they're teaching the same exact thing. Although Pam is teaching it one way from her personality, but it's still in line with teaching the same thing. Selah may be teaching over here, Cosmon or whoever, right? Ema, and not just us. Anybody, and even those that are not present here all over the world or whatever. If we're in line with the Creator, based on where we're at, we could be teaching children, we could be teaching teenagers, we could be teaching adults, we could be teaching the older people, right? Depending on our audience, we'll determine how we relate that message. But it's still the truth, it's still in line. With children, you got to give stories and songs to teach the principles. When they're a little bit older, you can just give them the facts and principles. And you don't have to, candy coat stuff, so to speak. Not necessarily candy coated, but sometimes a little bit of sugar does help the medicine go down, right? Some people, children, you got to sweeten it up. But you have to also teach them, which is why when you give them the facts and stuff, you give them stories and music, which is why it's good. If you need to teach them something that is of the lesser light or whatever, you need to teach them a wise bad to drink. You got to add a little bit of sugar to it too. And you add the sugar to it by actually showing them what's happening behind the scenes of a drunkard's life or a drug abuser's life, whatever the vice is, or a sexual addict, or whatever it is, a food addict, right? You got to show them what's happening behind the scenes so they can interpret it appropriately. So as they grow, that intelligence just grows and it's not a disconnect. A lot of times there's a disconnect in every level, especially if your teachers are terrible. Oh, you're terrible. You're a terrible teacher. right? But they may be a good teacher for somebody else. I just know you learn from who you can learn from, right? Listen. Chief angels over these phalanxes being lords, marshals, captains, and so on. The second resurrection being orderly, disciplined, and organized in its glorious work. Thus my lords have angels under them who are authorized and ordained in my name and in the name of Jehovah to abide for times and seasons with mortals as guardians and inspirers, to provide dreams, thoughts, and visions in the minds of mortals, and to otherwise labor in elevating them in purity, love, and wisdom. And I know we haven't mentioned it in a while, but you have to be careful of your dreams. Now we know that they are inspired. You can get dreams from any disembodied entity who has the understanding and know how to do that. But if you're in line with the Creator, even then you still need to decipher, because sometimes one will get in, right? Just depend on how you are tuned, that they are not tuned, right? You open doors for certain things, but don't just take all your dreams like they come from God, because they don't, right? But you have to test that to see. And you see a lot of prophets online that's always talking about their dreams and visions. I'm like, you just got to be the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life. Spiritually dumb. Let me say, not taking a shot at them, but they're spiritually dense. Yes. Yes, go wash your face and brush your teeth, babe. Okay, verse 29. And we're gonna read one more chapter after this, and then we're gonna pause. Verse 29, thus my lords have angels under them who are authorized and ordained in my name, and in the name of Jehovah to abide for times and seasons with mortals as guardians and inspirers, to provide dreams, thoughts, and visions in the minds of mortals, and to otherwise labor in elevating them in purity, love, and wisdom. Such then are the angels of God and of Jehovah, and their teachings are in the same as my lords and thy gods, nor doth one of them teach a matter in one way, and another teach it differently. Howbeit, there are different grades and systems adapted to the different degrees of intelligence of the different peoples on the earth. Right? Chapter 3. God illustrated the difference of method betwixt the first and second resurrection. This is going to be good. Angela, shalom. Listen. Open thy understanding, O man, that thou mayest discern the beauty and glory of heavenly places prepared by thy gods, lords, and guardian angels. For as we came up out of the first resurrection, which may be likened to a great medley, a noise and confusion of a mighty multitude, so covenanted we with Jehovah to make ourselves orderly and a unit in growth, manifestation, expression, and future development, that the place of the second resurrection should do nothing in common with the first. For alike and like, Jehovah created mortals and angels to attract each other. And since the aspiration and desire of most mortals pertain to themselves as individuals, so the twain bound themselves in the same pursuits and earthly hopes. For whoso on earth loved riches, or fame, or great learning, or even evil, such as dissipation, drunkenness, gluttony, sexual indulgence, or theft, gambling, or arson, doing any or all of these things for self's sake or for evil, attracted angel companions of like order, who by inspiration or otherwise led him on to achieve his heart's desire. Right? So if you're giving in to those bad thoughts, that's who you attracting to you. Right? Angels of that like order. Right? You get on that frequency. And they are abundant. They waiting for you to open the door for them to get in, to put you in a sunken place. Right? And they just going to lead you on to do your heart's desire. Let me read the whole verse again. Verse 4. For whoso on earth loved riches, or fame, or great learning, or even evil, such as dissipation, drunkenness, gluttony, sexual indulgence, or theft, gambling, or arson, doing any or all of these things for self's sake, or for evil, attracted angel companions of a like order, who, by inspiration or otherwise, led him on to achieve his heart's desires. And it came to pass, when such mortals died and entered the first resurrection, their former inspirers became their companions and rulers, having shaped their thoughts whilst in mortality through their labors for self and earthly objects, right? So whoever you give into, when you pass your flesh back to the earth, they waiting for you. Hey, finally we get to meet face to face. Now you, my slave. Look. And I'm going to read it again, verse 5. And it came to pass, when such mortals died and entered the first resurrection, their former inspirers became their companions and rulers, having shaped their thoughts whilst in mortality through their labors for self and earthly objects. And these in turn became angel inspirers unto other mortals of like characteristics, so that a long period of time passed away before the spirits who were thus bound to earth could be persuaded there were other heavens open for them to come and inherit. And as it was so then, even so it is this day with the spirits of the dead. As there are good lands on earth still unoccupied, whilst in other regions there are great cities with mortals crowded together, starving and dwelling in misery, and they will not hence. Even so is the great multitude of angels of darkness gathered together upon the face of the earth, and many of them will not go hence into the higher heavens of Jehovah. Okay. Let me read that again, the whole verse. Okay, so just like it just gave the example, you know how the cities are overcrowded and it seems like more people, you just get more people, and it's those of us, it's just too crowded here. Let's go out to the country. There is all kinds of land available if you want to go out to the country, but most people don't want to go away from the excitement, right? As there are good lands on earth still unoccupied, whilst in other regions there are great cities with mortals crowded together, starving and dwelling in misery, and they will not hence, or they will not remove themselves from that situation, and they will not hence. Even so is the great multitude of angels of darkness gathered together upon the face of the earth, and many of them will not hence into the higher heavens of Jehovah. As cold metal in contact with hot metal changeth temperature, so by angel contact with the spirit of man, knowledge passeth from one to the other. So also is it of the passions, sentiments, desires, and aspirations betwixt the twain. Also, where the sea breaketh upon the land, the twain are ever in contact. So is the spirit world ever in contact with the mortal world, which place of contact was named by the ancients the intermediate world, or place of purgation, whence from none could rise till made organically pure, right? The brides and bridegrooms, when you reach the level of bride and bridegroom, you are organically pure through and through. Like you are truly at that point without spot or wrinkle. I'll read it again. I go back to 6. As there are good lands on earth still unoccupied, whilst in other regions there are great cities with mortals crowded together, starving and dwelling in misery, and they will not hence. Even so is the great multitude of angels of darkness gathered together upon the face of the earth, and many of them will not hence into the higher heavens of Jehovah. As cold metal in contact with hot metal changes temperature, so by angel contact with the spirit of man, knowledge passeth, or is channeled, is inspired, right? We get a higher light, or you get a lower light. Just depending on which way, who you touching. As cold metal in contact with hot metal changes temperature, so by angel contact with the spirit of man, knowledge passeth from one to the other. So also it is of the passions, sentiments, desires, and aspirations betwixt the twain. Also, as where the sea breaketh upon the land, and the twain are ever in contact, so is the spirit world ever in contact with the mortal world, which place of contact was named by the ancients the intermediate world, or a place of purgation, wherefrom none could rise till made organically pure. Now therefore thy God showeth thee certain signs characteristic of the difference between the angels of the first and the second resurrection. Pay attention. Of the first, coming as individuals, whether professing names, signs, histories, and especially the ancients, whose words are uttered from the standpoint of earth looking upward, but of the second as light only, whose words emanate from my holy places in heaven, coming down to thee. Okay, so it said you can recognize between the first and the second heaven and where your information and how to decipher where your information is coming from that you receive, that you're inspired with, right? If your information is looking from the earth up, you hanging out in the realms of Hada, right? Your information is coming from the shenaniganizing spirits who have separated themselves from the Creator, right? If it's looking from above down, that's information coming from the higher light, from the second resurrection, right? From the second heaven and above. That's where we want to be in contact with, right? I'll read it again. Verse 9. Now, therefore, thy God showeth thee certain signs characteristic of the differences betwixt the angels of the first and the second resurrection. Of the first, coming as individuals, whether professing names, signs, or histories, and especially the ancients, people who want to try and talk to you, give you wisdom or whatever, or even if you hear it. Of the first, coming as individuals, whether professing names, signs, or histories, and especially the ancients, whose words are uttered from the standpoint of the earth looking upward, but of the second as light only, whose words emanate from my holy places in heaven, coming down to thee. Of the first, flatterers to win thy favor, whose counsel pertaineth to thyself and to earthly things. So you about to get a car. The Father said, you're going to get a car. You give me $48. You got a $48,000 blessing coming in the mail. Get out of here with that first resurrection talk. Of the first, flatterers to win thy favor. They just flattered you. They spiritually flattered you to give to them, right? You may not be giving to them. You giving to the Lord's work. Yeah, you giving to the Lord's work, all right. Of the first, flatterers to win thy favor. When you win thy favor, you leave church broke. Throw my purse, take it all. My bank account number, you got to cash out. Let's see everything. Of the first, flatterers to win thy favor, whose counsel pertaineth to thyself and to earthly things. Of the second, to teach thee self-abnegation and lead thee to do good unto others, regardless of thine own profit, caring little whether thou art prosperous on the earth, provided thou shalt be raised up in time to come. A lot of people don't want that. Let me do as thou wilt. For the revelations of the second resurrection come from the light of my holy counsel, who have abandoned their earthly habits and desires, knowing the way of raising up everlastingly is by constantly putting away the conditions below. Thy God cometh not as an individual, neither do my lords nor holy angels, though they come in my name. I come in legions of thousands and millions. Neither varieth the inspiration from my kingdom one jot or tittle from what it hath ever been, save in greater fullness, according to the increase of capacity of mortals to receive knowledge. Oh my God, this is so good. Highlight it. Look, remember what we was just talking about at the beginning? Like from our vantage point, it seems like things are constantly changing. But the Father's forever fixed, and all that he does is just from our vantage point, right? As we grow from glory to glory, or from understanding to higher understanding. It looks like it changes to us, but it's not until we get a little bit older that we realize that the line of light has always been the same. It's just at different ages we can understand it a little bit differently and a little more deeply, right? Let me just read this again. For the verse 14, page 739. Hold on. Let me go to 14. The verse is at 16, but I'm going to go back up to 14. For the revelations of the second resurrection come from the light of my holy counsel, who have abandoned their earthly habits and desires, knowing the way of raising up everlastingly is by constantly putting away the conditions below. Thy God cometh not as an individual, neither do my lords nor holy angels, though they come in my name. I come in legions of thousands and millions. Neither varieth the inspiration from my kingdom one jot or tittle from what it hath ever been, save in greater fullness, except in greater fullness. What you get is just going to be greater than what you previously learned, right? Thy God cometh not, neither varieth the inspiration from my kingdom one jot or tittle from what it hath ever been, save in greater fullness, according to the increase of capacity in mortals to receive knowledge. The spirit of my heavens pervadeth my words. Through my holy angels I have spoken unto thee from thy youth up, and in my revelations thou perceivest the touch of my hand. I cry out order, purity, discipline, justice, and good works, or retribution. O man, beware of angels who say, in heaven there is no organization, nor God, nor holy counsel, nor discipline, nor order, nor teaching, nor self-denial, or who say there is no God, no Jehovah, no government in heaven, or who say there is no bondage after death, no place or condition of suffering, or who say, when thou diest, thy spirit shall enter paradise and dwell in perpetual ease and glory, who say heaven is an endless summer land with silvery rivers and golden boats for all, or who say, eat, drink, and enjoy thyself for the gratification of thine earthly possessions, for when thou art dead, thy path shall be straight to glory, or who say, heap up riches, for there is no punishment after death, or who say, turn not thy thoughts into thine own soul to discover thy ungodliness, for when thou art dead, thy spirit shall revel in bliss, or who say the angel world is a place of progression without self-abnegation and good works, or who saith, behold me, I am from the highest, most exalted sphere, or from a far-off star. Nern, or some of the others I'm about to name. I'm gonna leave them alone. Nibiru, who say, who say the angel world is a place of progression without self-abnegation and good works, or who saith, behold me, I am from the highest, most exalted sphere, or from a far-off star, or who saith, I have visited the planets, or who saith, resurrection cometh by reincarnation, first a stone, then lead, then silver, then gold, then a tree, then a worm, then an animal, and then man, or that a spirit re-entereth the womb and is born again in mortality, or who saith, blessed art thou, for a host of ancient spirits attend thee, thou hast a great mission. For all of these are the utterances of the angels of the first resurrection, and though they may inspire great oratory and learned discourses, yet they are flatterers and will surely lead thee into grief. Oh, I want to so keep going, but I cannot. I have to stop here, right? So we'll recap this tomorrow, right? And then we'll go right into this. But I have an appointment I got to get to at 9:30. So that's going to be it for today, y'all. This was good. I really didn't want to stop. Okay, so let me do this. Use chapters 1 to 3, pages 737 to 740. And tomorrow, Chapter 4 is going to start with God illustrated the characteristics of mortals accordingly as they are under the influence of the first or second resurrection. So it's just going to be more of that, but it's going to get into the second resurrection, right? All right, y'all. So thank y'all for hanging out. It is Thursday, October the 20th, 2022, day 241 of year 4 of reading through the books of the law and the prophets and of the 4-year consecutive day count, day 1260. Remember, that is the days we have been present without the Sabbath days added. If you want to get a more accurate count 52 weeks in a year. There's one Sabbath in each week. There's 52 days that we remove from the count. Also, with the exception, maybe the week hiatus I had to take because I had to let my body recover from being foolish, right? Hard lesson to learn. And the day that I couldn't go live because of the air travel and all that stuff. But anyway, y'all get it. We read the Book of Discipline. I'm going to fix the title for today's video because I put the Book of Inspiration. It's the Book of Discipline. So I'm going to change that immediately when we get done. The Book of Discipline, pages 737 to 740, which included chapters 1 to 3. Bella! Come on, girl. All right, y'all. So, yeah, right. Tabitha in the Book of Wars, Thothma was fooled by Osiris about reincarnation. First of all, that story was funny as crap to me. It wasn't funny, but I'm like, dude, you are this wise and you got fooled by that. And when he died, it was like, he realized it was a lie. I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, oh, I'm so glad we're about to start over. All right, y'all. I don't think I missed any questions.
You can call Roblox.
I missed your comment, Tabitha. You said, as church folks say, according to the book of Malachi, shall a man rob God? That is the spell trick, right? Okay. It is. It's a deep spell, Kendrick. Yes, baby. Tootie, I gotta look. We call it Roblox. We gotta check the email. We're waiting for the response. First of all, hold on. Where is your what? Let me get you something for your lips. Hold on, y'all. Before she get up in here. Come here. And you go get a coconut water because your lips are just too dry. They're telling me that sounds a little bit of dehydration, sis. Don't be getting all the other stuff. All right. Get coconut water. That's it. Yeah, I'll put some on it.
Mom, look.
All right, y'all. Tootie about to take us out of here. I see y'all back here tomorrow. Oh, wait. Father, I like the one I read earlier. Father, you are adorable above all things. Just a quick recap. We were, in the beginning of the reading, we laud or praise on the Creator.
Find that in your Apple Music libraries. You can ask me to play a radio station.
Siri,
or ask for your music.
cancel. She's so nosy. We give them like a adoration in the beginning and at the end, right? That's something, if y'all was here, remember when they was going to see their God? It was a part of the process to even make it to his kingdom. They had to travel all this far on their bellies crawling, and with each movement, they had to give a prayer of praise to this false God. And I was like, you know what? That's kind of genius, right? But I'm like, how much more should we be doing that for the Father? And they had to go and they could not even repeat one. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to do something similar. But I'm a Lord praises on my Father, and it gets my mind to thinking. It raises me higher. It breaks me out of the mold of repeating like the same prayers and just always thanking him for the same thing. Like, he's more than just thanking. He's just more. I mean, he's so much more worthy of just praises. Father, thank you for waking us up and watching over us throughout the night, keeping the roof over our head and food in our bellies and clothes on our back. Right? Can we not thank him for more than that? That's where I started doing. I was like, this is pretty genius. And I'm like, it challenged me to grow a little bit in my prayers and even my moments where I'm like, Father, just thank you. Right? So that's why I started doing that. All right. Because you will see when we first started, I kept repeating like the Lord's Prayer. Then we grew a little bit. Then I was like, we're going to do the blessing. So we ended it with the blessing. The kids know the blessing by heart. They was doing the blessing. Right? So it's like we just grow from glory to glory. As we know better, we do better. Yeah. So it's just perpetual growth. All right, that's it, y'all. I love y'all. I'll see y'all back here tomorrow, bright and early, 7:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.